Hey, welcome guys back to the channel, it's Mary here, and today we're going to continue our watch of Code Geass with episode 4. So, at the end of last episode, we had yet another ironic twist in that, the crimes of Lelouch, if you will, the assassination of Prince Clovis, has now been blamed on Suzaku, who was honestly like the person who contributed the most to defending the entire situation, right? So I have a kind of feeling that the irony about this situation is going to continue on for quite some time here. But in any case, we got that to handle, and then also we got the entire situation with Callan as well. Lelouch is gonna have to do something about her, probably take on some other kind of identity. I really don't think he's going to reveal his actual self to her until perhaps much later, if at all. Now, it's not necessarily going to be in that order, I don't think. Perhaps Lelouch is going to enlist the help of the resistance, the terrorists, whatever you want to call them, the Japanese, in order to help free Suzaku, right? Which, because otherwise I don't think he can do anything just by himself. And so that's pretty much it for the recap. And also, one quick note, I have took a look at the picture dramas. Specifically, I looked at the first 2 episodes of the picture dramas, which should correspond to, like, right at the very beginning, and also at the end of episode 3 as well, in terms of their timeline. Quite interesting, quite a lot of information being told as well, which I guess maybe counts as kind of a spoiler. Like in the first one, it was basically saying how Suzaku and Lelouch already met before. It also allowed me to know about the family of Suzaku, right? So he comes from a prominent family as well. Apparently his father was the former prime minister of Japan, right? And then, of course, at the end, it's also, well, Lelouch's own words saying that Suzaku is going to become his mortal enemy as well as being his great friend, right? So I can already see that. I guess kind of a spoiler, although it's very strongly hinted at already within the first 3 episodes. And then, of course, we have the second picture drama, which is essentially fan service, and I have to say a very hot fan service. Like, woo, these I mean, I've been saying, right, Clamp has a way of drawing their characters to be epically proportioned, so that's all I can say about that. I'm kind of glad that I didn't show it directly on screen, because, you know, it's basically just watching them show off their bodies and whatnot. On the other hand, I'm really disappointed that that scene isn't actually a full-blown animated scene, because I think that's probably going to, that'd probably be pretty epic as well. But do let me know. I'm thinking of looking at the picture dramas directly after a relevant episode, so I do know, where exactly they are supposed to be. I think the next one is supposed to happen after episode 6 and before episode 7, so I'll probably be looking at it after episode 6, and I'll probably record it as well. Or if you guys have any ideas about this, like maybe recommendations as to looking at the picture drama after I finish the entire season or something like that, do let me know. So, with that being said, let's jump into the episode. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, so that ability itself is called Geass? Oh. Hey, that was actually a lot more information than I was expecting. Even, maybe a bit too much information in a sense? And also, I was about to say something. Oh, the entire Geass thing, right? Geass. So that's, considering it's called Code Geass, like, what's that supposed to mean? Like a project name? Or is it like, I don't know. By the way, we haven't seen this mysterious girl. I believe it's called Cece, right? We don't even know what happened to her body. I mean, considering how active she is in the opening, I think it's safe to say that we're gonna be seeing her later, right? But what actually happened to her? Alright, let's continue on. His name is Zero. Oh! It was actually Suzaku's... No, wait, that doesn't make sense. He isn't armed. Wait, I thought they couldn't earn... I thought they couldn't actually get arms. And here I was thinking they were just going to pin the blame on someone, but it actually kind of makes sense. Question mark? Alright. You just activated Geass. Doesn't he have, like, the perfect alibi? Or is it a case where, they don't really care to help him? So it is still a political tool. Alright. He's going to meet her. Is it today? .401. What is it? Oh. Okay, so his alternate identity is 0. That's true. Alright. Looks like a big battle's gonna go down tomorrow. Oh, is that... I think that... No. That's... How is he going to... Oh, he's controlled all those. Of course not. Oh, so this is another resistance group? Wow, even in this situation, he's still caring about them. Damn. This is a guy who oozes righteousness and justice. Okay. How is Lelouch going to pull this off? Wow. Completely throwing out. So the only way to prove Suzaku's innocence would be for someone to take claim and take responsibility, right? Or is he just going to brainwash the Margrave? Where'd you get your helmet, dude? Okay. So these two trust and believe in him. Oof. Talk about grandstanding. What is he? What's he gonna? Oh, the device? Okay. Okay. do it myself. Orange. Oh. There we go. Just like that. This is funny. Wow. And they're probably going to later on start thinking, what the hell is an orange? Okay, the Japan Liberation Front. That's probably the guys who, the army people, I guess. Yeah, he wants to change it from the inside. I wonder if Suzaku No, I don't think he knows. I mean... Hmm? Oh. And here I was thinking like where the hell she was. And there we go. Alright, see you guys after this. Ooh boy, this episode, right? Suzaku, like, I quite literally don't know what to say of him. This guy is just too righteous for his own good, right? It's quite funny because normally after I do these episodes, right, the blind reaction you guys see me go through, I'll typically always go back and rewatch, fast forward through the episode once again, just to try to pick up on anything I may have missed or something, or just to get to look at the dialogue once again, know what they're really trying to say, their emotions, that kind of thing, and then I'll sit around and think about it, right? I actually don't record these review sessions, these musing sessions immediately after. I actually take some time to think through the episode and try to formulate my thoughts. So the funny thing here is that even though I do side with Lelouch a lot more because I'm also a means to the end kind of guy, I have to say Suzaku's thinkings makes a lot of sense, right? And by the way, I'm not going to go too much into this in this review here about what Lelouch did to spring this entire plan and successfully rescue Suzaku, right? Because to be honest, I think there's a million different things that could have gone wrong with this operation that Lelouch tried to pull off. I mean, it worked in the end, sure, but once again, a lot of things had to go right? But I'm not gonna go too much into that. That's basically, it's just how the story is written. It's just how the character is written. We can just hand wave it off and say it's Lelouch, right? He's thought of everything. I don't think that's the important part of this episode. Rather, I like to focus a lot more in the sort of philosophical and indeed the political philosophy kind of differences between Lelouch and Suzaku here. Well, I say political philosophy, but I don't think it's anything as high-end as that. Basically, it's reform versus revolution, right? When you disagree with the government, when you disagree with the powers that be, are you a reformist or are you a revolutionist? And that is basically what these two are on these opposite sides of the spectrum, right? Now, certainly, Lelouch's making a strong argument for why you should just rise up in armed rebellion and armed revolution and just just overthrow the entire government, right? Overthrow Britannia, liberate Japan, liberate all the other peoples under the empire. The Britannia Empire is rotten. Just do away with it, right? Put a new one in its place, a brighter, a shinier one in its place. And indeed, that is very compelling, right? And I have to say that given the same sort of situation, I would probably go with Lelouch's route as well because it's easier to see progress that way. Let's face it. However, Suzaku's plan, if you think about it, really makes a lot of sense as well, and it is actually you can actually find historical precedence through this throughout reality, throughout real history here, right? Think of the governments and especially in the past in like South America, in Africa, and Southeast Asia, a lot of the third world countries, right? You'll find that a lot of the times when you have an unstable government, when you have an unstable region, these might be dictators or warlords or whatnot, and they basically change factions, change hands every so often years. That's what you're inviting when you set the precedent of using armed revolutions to get your way, right? Overthrowing the past regime, installing a new one here. We're bigger, we're stronger, we're better, we're more fair, we're more we represent justice and whatnot. A lot of times, history has told us that what this actually leads to is just another party eventually coming along and saying, no, you're shit. I want to do this completely over once again. Let's have a redo, right? And if you really look throughout history, the most stable countries in the world throughout history have been those that relied more on political reform to gradually change the country, rather than some sort of armed revolution to just throw out everyone of the old guard and bring in the new, right? So basically, what they are establishing a difference from in this episode between Lelouch and Suzaku is you can say that Lelouch's plan, his idea of overthrowing the Britannian Empire and whatnot, that's something that's going to take maybe a few years, maybe at most, let's say, tens of years, something like that, right? Whereas Suzaku, with what he's trying to do, he is trying to provide stability for the entire future of the empire for decades, right? His plan is on the scale of decades and eventually even further into the future, like centuries, right? It's the founding, how can I say it? It's trying to change the founding principles and the founding values of the entire nation, of the entire empire, and not to still let people think, I mean, at the end of the day, we can just overthrow everybody and have a revolution, right? So that's basically a difference between these two. And, if you are thinking like long term, it does make a lot of sense to go with Suzaku's method here. He's probably, well, I guess you can't really say either way, but there's a very big possibility that he's not going to have any real meaningful progress and during his generation, right? But at least he can spearhead the effort, right? And this is honestly, this kind of big reform probably is going to take multi-generations to enact in order for it to fully be complete and reformed, right? And that is not something that most people are going to be willing to wait for, right? Especially, we humans, we have a limited lifespan, and we're programmed, we're conditioned to think about ourselves in this current life, right? We don't typically think that much about, okay, future generations, what I'm doing for is something to leave to my my grandkids, my future generations, my offspring, and so on and so forth. So it's, if you look at it from a very high level, from like a God's eye point of view or whatnot, you can say that Suzaku's method makes a lot of sense because it's going to provide the most stability in the long run. But at this current stage and at this current point, Lelouch's plan definitely makes a lot more sense and is a lot more compelling, right? So that's basically a difference between these two. I guess a further analogy I can sort of kind of try to make is, imagine you had a house and it was built on a place where hurricanes or typhoons frequently come through, and let's say a hurricane or a typhoon just literally came through your house, and now it's all battered and torn down. It's still standing, but it's definitely in shambles, right? It's in bad shape. Would you rather completely destroy this old structure and completely rebuild it from the ground up, or are you going to say, all right, I'll just try to repair whatever parts that need to be repaired? Sure, it's going to be painful, but at the very least, during this entire repair process, I would still have a house over, I would still have a roof over my head, right? Whereas on the other side, by demolishing, this entire rotten core and whatnot, and then building a new one, you're not going to be, it's not guaranteed that you're going to be able to finish your new house before the next hurricane or the next typhoon comes, right? So it's essentially this kind of difference. Well, if you take out all the nuance of setting precedent, anyways. So just directly, I feel like you can go multi-levels here in terms of how far you want to go, how deep you want to go into these differences. But in essence, that's what is at play here. And I really don't think there's a complete right or wrong. It's all whether you want short-term results or long-term results. Certainly, you could also argue from Lelouch's point of view that, hey, even if I do, there's no guarantee. It's not, it's not guaranteed that if I used armed revolutions to overthrow this country, overthrow this empire, and install a new government, that in the future it's going to set a precedent for someone else to also try to stage a revolution and whatnot, right? That's not necessarily, and you would be right, it's not necessarily correlated. But I mean, again, we can only draw on human history, right? What we know of it to see if, by statistics and whatnot, how things usually are. And I feel that, for the most part, time has told us that Suzaku's method definitely is much better in the long run if you really want to build a very stable and prosperous country that can survive for generations and centuries. So I think that's basically the difference here. Well, I'd say generations and centuries, but probably no. That might be a little bit too much of a stretch. I mean, human history hasn't really been all that long, anyways. But I think you guys can get what I'm saying here. Now, does that make Suzaku a foolish man? It makes him wise in his ways if you look at it from a more macro perspective, but obviously from a personal perspective, that is like stupid as hell. But then again, if you are looking at this from Suzaku's perspective instead, they are each trying to make a gamble, right? They are each trying to make a bet. Lelouch is betting that with his power, with his abilities and talents, and with the help of his newfound friends, the terrorists, the Liberation Party, the whatever you want to call them, he is betting that he can wage war against the Britannians and win. He is betting that he can use these resources to break up the empire and then allow everyone to do whatever it is that they want. Whereas from Suzaku's point of view, he is betting on the fact that, hey, for instance, in this episode, he was thinking about trying to bring Lelouch in, right? Obviously, he doesn't know who Lelouch is, but by actually bringing him in and getting credit for this, by bringing in this killer in, he can further advance his position within the military, within the Britannian Empire, and that would give him just a little bit more chance to enact his ideals and also set a precedent for others, right? For other Japanese, other 11s to join him and all join into the ranks of the Britannian Empire, and then gradually once you get a large enough mass and whatnot, the hope is that there's eventually not going to be any discrimination anymore, and then everybody will just be equal, and we're just all Britannians, and there's no difference between purebloods versus those that are honorary or those that were former Japanese or whatever it is you want to call them, right? So I don't know if I really should have spent this entire episode discussing this point, but I just thought it was pretty interesting to see the differences here, and how it actually relates with actual history, with actual human history. Beyond this, I already said I'm not going to talk too much about the entire plan that Lelouch had. I think I guess I have to again call out the irony of the entire situation, right? As in how Suzaku is the son of the former Prime Minister of Japan, but now he is fighting for Britannia, and whereas Lelouch, who is literally Britannian royalty, is instead fighting to bring the entire empire down, right? It's definitely quite ironic in that situation, which I think I'm never going to get tired of saying, right? And pointing out, because it's just that ironic. And another ironic thing I feel is that it's not entirely confirmed yet, and this is just a speculation on my part. But the entire potentially a huge reason that why Suzaku is pushing towards using this kind of method to promote long-term prosperity between within the empire and whatnot might actually be because of Lelouch as well, because he's befriending Lelouch, because he knows that even though we aren't exactly of the same race, of the same people, we are able to set aside our differences and become great friends, right? So I think it's probably going to eventually be revealed that part of the reason why Suzaku is fighting for this, bearing the name of a traitor and whatnot, is because he believes in this sort of harmony that can be achieved because he has experienced it himself with Lelouch. So, anyways, that's it for episode 4 of Code Geass. And once again, do let me know what you guys think of the picture drama. Do you want me to also just watch it directly after the relevant episodes? Or do you think it's better for me to watch it as a whole after the entire season so, I don't get spoiled by some stuff? Let me know. And in any case, I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys next week as well. Bye-bye.